Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. You're watching Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Dawaz with the latest roundup of sports today. A lot of things that we will have to discuss, but before that, I just want to make an appeal to all you people out there on behalf of the entire team of Sports Extra, PTV World, PTV in general. As you know that parts of our country are suffering from a recent torrential rain and the monsoon weather system. Of course, the rains have wreaked havoc. There is flooding in major parts of Pakistan. All of you out there, in whatever capacity you can contribute for our brothers and sisters in this time of need, I would request all of you to find your designated places. If you're in Islamabad, the Capital Development Authority has set up various camps where you can contribute, not just in terms of money, not just financial, but you can contribute clothing, you can contribute items of daily use, food items, food packs, even tents and blankets. Winter is just around the corner in those areas as well, and whether it's Balochistan, parts of Sindh or Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, whichever areas are affected, we would request all of you at this time to go out there and contribute as much as you can. In every city, wherever you are, there are NGOs, there are government organizations who are working round the clock. There is PDMA and NDMA, you can always get in touch with them. So please go out there, contribute and pray for our brothers and sisters, and may Allah Almighty ease their pain and make things better for them as well. On that note, moving on now, we've got a great lineup that we're discussing. Of course, the Asia Cup, just a day more to go until we see all the action. We've got the first encounter, the opener between Sri Lanka and Afghanistan, which is probably going to be exciting because Group B is very intense. It's got Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Afghanistan. When we come to Group A, it's Hong Kong, Pakistan and India. And Pakistan-India on the 28th has already made headlines all around the world. It's going to be one of the most watched events in sports entertainment history. Of course, Pakistan have got problems of their own. They've got injury-prone fast bowlers, Shaheen out, and now Waseem Jr. in the latest going through an MRI for back pain on his birthday day as well. Then, of course, for India, they lost Jasprit Bumrah. Then they've got trouble with Rahul Dravid testing positive for COVID-19. Hong Kong have qualified, of course, but they've played back-to-back matches. Fitness is going to be a question for them as well. So, you know, there are many things in Group A when you talk about all of these aspects. But even in Group B, Sri Lanka has gone through injuries as well. Afghanistan, Bangladesh also looking to finalize their squads and playing 11. So a lot has to be said about the Asia Cup, and we'll talk about that in detail. After that, we'll be moving on to more news from the world of sports. The Billie Jean King Cup of tennis. Pakistan have beaten Turkmanistan. They finished second in Pool B. Pakistan is going to take on Sri Lanka for the third position. Of course, they've been performing very well. The girls have really surmounted, when you talk about Noor, Mehak Khokar is there, Ushna Suhail, Sara Mehboob, all of these girls participating have had stellar performances in this tournament. And then, of course, we move on to the US Open, another Grand Slam of the year, where unvaccinated Novak Djokovic has now decided that he will be withdrawing from the US Open because he said that he will stay in positive spirit, but unfortunately because of COVID-related protocols, he would not be allowed to travel to the United States of America because he is unvaccinated. Of course, mega event will commence on the 29th of August, and Nadal is also eyeing a 23rd major and the number one spot as well. Then, of course, we move on to the UEFA Champions League. The draws have taken place in Istanbul. Haaland and Lewandowski are going to face their former. We'll be discussing that in detail. Time now to introduce our guest. First of all, in studios, we've been joined by a cricket expert and, of course, somebody who's really going to be eyeing that Asia Cup game, but of course very technically and critically analysing all the pros and cons of our teams as well. Rizwan Haider. Assalamu alaikum, how are you, sir?
Assalamu alaikum, Ahmed.
Great to have you on the show. We've also been joined by cricket commentator and expert, and I always say the jolly man that he is, the life of Sports Extra, and of course we get a great conversation going. Asif Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum, Asif, how are you, sir?
Walaikum assalam, Ahmed. I'm good, and hopefully you're
great to have you on the show as well. Now, we've got a report on the Asia Cup. We're bringing you some exciting content. So I think at this moment we need to appreciate the team of Sports Extra under the leadership of their head as well. The way they've been performing is absolutely exceptional. Leading up to the Asia Cup, we've been giving you different aspects of the Pakistan team, our clash against India, a bit of history at the same time. We've got yet another report. Let's take a look.
15th edition of the Asia Cup begins on 27th August. The tournament is being played in the T20 format as a preparatory event for the T20 World Cup at the end of the year. The sixth participating team in the competition has been confirmed after Hong Kong defeated UAE in the final match of the qualifying round and booked their place in the main round. Hong Kong won all the matches of qualifiers and are now placed in Group A alongside India and Pakistan, whereas Group B comprises Sri Lanka, Afghanistan and Bangladesh. The mega event kicks off with a clash between Sri Lanka and Afghanistan, but the match that everyone is looking forward to is of course India versus Pakistan. The two cricketing heavyweights begin their Asia Cup campaign this time with this clash on Sunday on 28th August.
Oh, there's another shot. Did he hit that? He has it! Oh, that's the start that Pakistanis wanted. Wow, it's all happening.
Pakistan's second fixture will be against Hong Kong in Sharjah on 2nd September. Each team faces the remaining sides in their group once, which makes for 2 matches per side. The top 2 teams from each group then progress to the Super 4 stage, where all teams play each other once in a round-robin format. The top 2 teams in the Super 4 stage then face each other in the final to determine the winner of the tournament.
There you have it, all you need to know about the schedule of the Asia Cup and how it progresses. Of course, Group A is one to watch out for, Pakistan, India on the 28th. But tomorrow the Asia Cup opens up with Sri Lanka against Afghanistan in the first encounter of Group B. Rizwan, overall, great performances in the qualifiers as well. A very competitive Asia Cup coming up, but obviously all eyes on that Pakistan-India game.
Of course, I think other than Pakistan, India, Hong Kong is another team which is there, but they're just there to make up numbers. I'm sure they're going to try their best, but it's all about India, Pakistan. I think the group of death is the group which has Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan, and I'm sure Afghanistan, could pull up a surprise or two.
That's very interesting, Asif, because we've been talking about many teams, but I think Afghanistan really needs to be discussed at this stage. Packing Umar Gul in their bowling coach department, Yunus Khan there as well, with the experience of winning a T20 World Cup and those conditions, one of the greatest for Pakistan. And then of course you look at the team, one of the best spin attacks right now in the world in T20 cricket, Rashid Khan. They've got Nabi, they've got Mujib, they've got Noor, the young left arm wrist spinner as well. And then of course a devastating batting lineup at the same time.
Yes, that's right, Ahmed. When we talk about the teams like Afghanistan, the way they're struggling, the way they're playing, and they are working hard in each department. You talk about the spin bowling attack, Rashid, and of course Mujib, that the top-notch spin bowlers, and then as you said that Umar Gul, he's there as a bowling coach. Before that, Rashid Latif coached them, and Inzamam was there. So I think Afghanistan Cricket Board is working so hard with their team, and this is the best thing with the board, that they're bringing this side and giving them best cricket. And you know that their spinners, they participate, not only the spinners but the batters, the fast bowlers, they participate all of the leagues, including IPL, PSL, and then Big Bash. So they're getting pretty much experience there. And whenever we talk about a team like Afghanistan, they play as a unit. This is what they've showed in T20 World Cup as well. They fought really nicely. They played really nicely against Pakistan, India, and the rest of the matches as well. So Afghanistan is a very good side, and they're getting better day by day, even after getting the status of Test cricket. Now the competition is higher, and that's why when we talk about the other countries like Hong Kong, like Kuwait, UAE, they're getting some confidence, and they're getting some motivation from Afghanistan.
Absolutely.
So I think that their participation in Asia Cup will be really exciting.
Absolutely. The journey is fantastic if you talk about Afghanistan and the amount of league cricket that some of their star players are playing. And of course, we still want to see Rashid Khan bat more up the order as he could. But I think they've got all the boxes taken where in 20 overs at least they can surprise any opposition, because obviously it does come down a bit to experience, but then the modern brand of cricket is there. They can outclass you with their spin. They can, of course, chase a target down, score some runs as well. Everything is there.
And
yes.
Ahmed, can I add, the best part is that they enjoy cricket.
Absolutely.
Really,
yeah.
see, recently what happened, that the Pakiza League were going on there. Even there was a really unhappy, incident took place there, a bomb blast. But even then, the crowd is still there. What does it mean? That they love cricket and they enjoy cricket.
Absolutely. I think they need some sort of entertainment after the turmoil and the devastating history of the country as well. Rizwan, all team all the teams we see are trying to make amends for it, especially if you talk about Bangladesh in that group, going in with Shakib Al Hasan once again as a captain. They're trying to rejuvenate themselves. Shakib himself in his press conferences was absolutely fine, did not put unnecessary pressure on the team for performance, and said we're trying to build a team and we're going to play cricket as we can and try to perform better. And of course everything that has been happening. So of course they've got experience of the Asia Cup, but then under Shakib's leadership they'll try to get that motivation back.
Well, let's see how it goes, because I am as a cricketer, I think I'm a fan of Shakib Al Hasan. But what the things that he's done, other than cricket, non-cricketing things, I'm not really a big fan. I mean, I think the problem with teams like Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh is that we don't move forward. We keep going back to the same old people, who've had their fair share of mishaps, and instead of going for youngsters and looking for the future next 5 years, we keep going to the same people. And I don't think Bangladesh is going to be I think Afghanistan will probably make it to the Super Fours rather than Bangladesh.
Of course, I think that we can predict on a note that Afghanistan is playing better cricket, and of course Bangladesh got their problems. But then again, Asif, Sri Lanka, remember the same team that had also beaten Australia there as well in their home conditions, played some stellar games. And T20 cricket, with the amount of flamboyant players that they have, especially the batting department, they're another team to look out for.
Of course, that when there's a game between Pakistan and India, the rest of the matches, we're not talking about mostly about them. But see, the once again, the spinning department of Sri Lanka, we understand that for a long time they're struggling in white ball cricket and then test cricket as well. After missing their stars, Mahela
But they beat you. You're saying struggling in test cricket.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right. This is what I was saying, that after a long time, we have seen them, we have watched them in a good touch. They've beaten Australia in their home ground. They've beaten Pakistan, courtesy Azhar-Ali's good performance. And I don't want to talk about that. Just remain. Just see, okay, the Sri Lankan spin department once again, in T20 cricket, Tishkana, let's talk about that. The way they spin, the way he comes up with this, finger deliveries.
Attacking spin balls.
Yes. This is the speciality of Sri Lankan team, because they got really good legend spinners.
And they'll stay wicket to wicket. That's very interesting. Try to either get you leg before or try to get you bowled. You won't see many wayward deliveries from their spinners.
That's right, and this is a this is your efforts, your hard work, and it shows that. And Mickey Arthur is there, their head coach is working there. Earlier on, he was with the Pakistan team, so he understands the mindset of Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, because he remained long time with Pakistan team, and now he's with the Sri Lanka. So credit goes to Mickey Arthur as well. The way he is working hard with this team. They're suffering with the political turmoil as well, but even then, now in cricket they're performing well. So I think in the Asia Cup, when we talk about that, the Afghanistan's presence there, Sri Lanka will be a hard and tough team.
Definitely. Now coming to the group and probably the match that the entire Asia Cup is centric around, that is Pakistan India on the 28th at Dubai, and it's Group A, and of course the third team making up in this group is Hong Kong. And a lot has to be said about both these squads, the gestures, the greetings exchange. A lot of activity has been happening already before the start of the game, and that's how Pakistan-India games are. Even post-match, you get to see many things happening. So Rizwan, obviously, there are certain concerns at the same time, but the game is, like I said, hyped up already.
The best thing about T20 is that it's a 20-over game. So you don't need, long
so the suffering is
planning, and suffering is less, and you get to know the result in about 3.5 hours. There's less planning, there's less pressure, but it's a game. And if you go one-on-one, I think India is a much better team, technically, physically, record-wise. The problem that I see with Pakistan is, compared to India, the top three are Rahul, Rohit Sharma and Kohli, and we have Fakhar, Babar and Rizwan. I think the problem is when we go to number 4, 5 and 6, we don't have the depth. If the top three get runs, fine, we can get 170, 180, we can even chase down the runs. But if we have a couple of early wickets, then there's nobody who's, and please don't nominate, Shoaib Malik or something like that.
Come on, Rizwan.
He's anti-Shoaib Malik. He's wearing his anti-Shoaib Malik shirt
It's
today.
not that. I mean,
No, by the way, who has taken the name of
you
Shoaib
were
Malik?
telling me before the game, somebody's mentioning.
Look, you can always cancel his NICOP. You can
But at the
always
end of
do
the
that.
day, and I think India, Bumrah not playing would not be such a major factor compared to what Shaheen.
Very true. I think that's very
for
true.
Pakistan is because we bank on so much on him that four overs from him, a couple of early wickets that he did against India, last time round. He'll be a major factor, and I'm really worried because I don't see any depth in the bowling.
But you mentioned a very fantastic point, Rizwan, because even if I gauge the media, there's been very little talk of Bumrah not being part of the Asia Cup. Well, our media and especially our cricketing fraternity has gone berserk knowing that he's not playing.
It's because they just have such a big squad, it doesn't really matter.
No,
For
it
them-
does matter. See, okay,
No,
sorry.
no,
You
compared
go
to
on.
those
Yeah,
two,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
For us, Asif, if we look at ourselves, we're completely centric around Shaheen Shah Afridi. I know what Rizwan means. But for India, they're not completely dependent on Bumrah.
They have a very
You've got to
strong
understand
spin bowling
that.
attack, which helps in those wickets.
This is the point, Rizwan, actually, that when we talk about the spinners, Ravindra Jadeja and Chahal
Ashwin.
and then Ashwin.
Yep.
See, very strong. And on the other side, if we talk about the Pakistani, Shadab, yes, and Khushdil
Khushdil,
Shah,
Nawaz.
that Nawaz, though they are very good campaigners and Shadab is performing so well, Nawaz is in good touch. Previously, in the recent past, Khushdil Shah played really nice cricket, but even then you cannot compete them with, Ashwin and then Chahal.
They
and
don't have the aura. Of
Yes,
Ashwin.
you are right, exactly. But the concern which you are showing for the number 5, 6 batting, it's a huge concern for me. And let's
And it's been
suppose
there for quite some time now. It's not a new concern. We've been trying to figure this out for the past 2-3 years now, I think.
let's say 5, 10 years.
Yeah, we've not been able to develop
5, 10
anyone.
years,
We've
actually.
not been able
See,
to
if you are
develop.
depending, Rizwan, if you're depending on Asif Ali and Iftikhar, and let's suppose Khushdil Shah, do you really think that you can depend on Asif Ali? Yes, he's a good hitter.
I can depend on K. Asif. I can do that. But I think they're carrying them for the records that are there. And also, Asif and Rizwan, both of you, obviously, we've always discussed the part as well that I think out of every player in this team right now, you eliminate Babar Azam's aura. And because that's a class apart, we're not going to bring that into this discussion right now. I think there's a lot of dependency on this team on Shadab Khan for various reasons. As a vice captain, they look up to him. As a bowler, they look up to him to get, because obviously after the first 6 overs, you want him to take a wicket. As a fielder, crunch, on point, run outs. And then, of course, now trusting him with that, so whenever we have a collapse, as a batter as well.
Yes, and he could hit sixes as well, big hitters, pinch hitter. But question is that, let's suppose that Babar Azam, please don't mind this. If
I will
it's-
mind this. You better be
if it's-
careful.
No, if it is not there and he's getting out early on, that what will happen in the middle order?
Fakhar Zaman scores 100.
That's bound to happen. You can't say every time India goes into bat they're going to get 150 and we're going to get 10 wickets without a loss. It's bound to happen. We just need to have a plan where we know if this happens, what's your plan B?
But as a
plan
nation,
C?
Rizwan, are we more confident this time? Just
No,
ask
I'm
me.
not. I'm not, because I think Shaheen is a major factor, and I think we had 1 year to fix the problems in the middle order after the last World Cup. The one point where I have disagreement with both of you is I don't think Babar Azam should be opening the batting in T20s. I know he's number 1 in the world. I know it looks good, and for me, number 1 in the world for an individual does not really matter.
Rizwan cannot go to Lahore anymore. I'm telling you.
It's not about that. I'm from Lahore. Okay. It's not that. The point is that until and unless you think of the team first, there's no way. I mean, you can win 5 matches with Babar Azam and Rizwan opening the batting, but when it comes to the crunch games, like Australia game last time,
absolutely. I think
Rizwan and
15
Babar
runs
both got stuck because we did not have a hitter there.
So what's your strategy? I mean, what would you see is the best way to
I
go?
would want Fakhar to open because when the World Cup is in Australia, Rizwan and Babar could struggle with the long boundaries. The boundaries are pretty long in Melbourne, Perth, and SCG. And you can't depend on them getting you 70 or 80 run opening partnerships to begin with. And if that is going to be the plan in the World Cup, then they should do it now. Practice.
Asif?
Yeah, see, if you see record in T20 in Dubai especially, the highest score is 211, right? And scored by Ireland against Scotland.
Yes.
So I think 160-70 could be a good total against India. when
Really?
you're playing. Yes, honestly, and see, the pitches behaving like
With
that.
Shaheen not bowling.
I would rather have 181. I'm just
See,
giving my
okay, you
opinion.
can add 10 runs more, let's suppose 170, 180, right? Could be a good total. But
Because
on the
Dubai,
other
as we understand, is a run scoring ground.
See, Ahmed, I have a big concern that, Rohit Sharma is really dangerous against right and fast bowlers. He only struggles against left and fast bowlers.
I am so intrigued because for the past 4 days, the only thing Asif has said, walking everywhere in PTV, is Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma.
See,
what are we going to do about Rohit Sharma?
See, he played more than 130 games, T20 international games. The averaging is 32. The strike rate is 140. Each and everything is perfect. Now he's the captain. He's leading the side, and he's so confident.
But that's a very, very interesting point, Rizwan, because I understand he's had his failures against Pakistan, but on records, the only person to get 2 double hundreds in one international cricket, phenomenal record. You cannot ignore the form and the numbers of Rohit Sharma.
It is. I mean, end of the day, as you mentioned, 2 double hundreds is no joke. I mean, to get one for us, it took how many years after say then
that too against Zimbabwe.
That too against Zimbabwe. He's an exceptional one-day player, and on the law of averages as well. I mean, you're bound to get one against Pakistan sooner or later, and I'd rather it be sooner than in the Super Fours or the final, because I think the team. Another interesting fact that I think is Afghanistan is dangerous. Mark it down. I mean, they're going to be in the Super Fours.
You're bound to play them in the later stages.
You're bound to play them, and they could create an upset or two, and be contenders for the final. Because if you lose one game in the Super Fours, then everybody has a chance to win 2 games.
That's right, Rizwan. Rizwan, see, both of you, I wanted to ask you one question. Let's suppose Rohit Sharma. Why I'm talking about Rohit Sharma? Because of his record, as Ahmed said that. He's playing, and he's a very good with short pitch deliveries. His pull and hook, really nice. And I do remember, if you could, in Mohammad Talha, he got him out on a short pitch delivery in Bangladesh. And after that he was struggling against the left arm fast bowlers. This is what we have discussed. The issue is, if you are coming up with Hasnan and Haris Rauf, Naseem Shah.
Your 3 probables. Yeah, most probably.
Most probably. This was Ahmed shared with me.
Yeah.
Ahmed, tell me that. Do you really think that Haris Rauf, Hasnan and Naseem Shah got on these pitches, they got the capacity to get him out early on and put the pressure on the Indians?
Yes, they do. But that's my opinion. I believe they can.
Yeah. What could be the strategy against him?
I would be banking more on Hasnan than anybody else. But then again, I think because I'm short on time, the game, of course, goes on Sunday. I think Asif and Rizwan mentioned very crucial points, because I think what we need to understand, not every day is a World Cup game against India. You beat them by 10 wickets, and you're missing the key element of Shaheen Shah Afridi. And as Asif mentioned yesterday as well, just those 2 deliveries actually made the difference in that entire match. But Rizwan and Asif, thank you very much for joining us on the show. Great having you, and of course the hype of the Asia Cup will continue. 28th, tune in, because that's when the big game happens against Pakistan and India, and it's going to be a cracker, isn't it? No matter how the game goes, it's always interesting. Now, talking about the Billie Jean Tennis Cup as well, where Pakistan have been performing and have been going through some stellar performances. They've beaten Turkmanistan as well. We'll, of course, be talking about that. Like I said, the girls have done brilliantly well. Noor, Mehak Khokar, Ushna Suhail and Sara Mehboob have been performing brilliantly in their matches. And, of course, now Pakistan is going to be competing. They finished second on the group, and they're going to be competing against another side when we talk about the Pool B encounter. They take on Sri Lanka. We'll talk about this further. We've been joined by somebody who's part of this squad as well, Mehak Khokar. Assalamu alaikum, Mehak. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm good, Ahmed. How are you?
I'm great. Congratulations. Another stellar game against Turkmenistan. Of course, performed brilliantly. And talk us through the games.
Thank you. Yeah, I think as a team we're all really happy. I think this was a really important game for us, and the fact that we won it 2-1 in the doubles. That's where it got decided. I think it was really good how Ushna was able to pull through in her singles and win that match for us. It was very, very crucial. I think any win that we have for Pakistan internationally is a huge honour, because we get to represent the country internationally. We get to raise the flag, and show the world that Pakistan is still present in sports, and in sports that may not be popular in Pakistan, as you know, tennis isn't, but that we're very much there as well, especially women athletes are very much there from Pakistan. So I think this is, it's always a great honor for us to be able to represent our country internationally.
Meg, what about your own self? How are you coping up with the games? Because we have seen your exhilarating journey through trainings as well. We know about that. But then, of course, getting back into competitive tennis, how are you hanging up?
Well, honestly, I would say I would recommend anybody who actually plays a sport competitively don't take such a long break, because it will, it's not the best decision that you would make. But honestly, I think it's just step by step. I think I was playing some of my best tennis before I did take that long break before, of course, COVID hit. So it was quite unfortunate, but then again, you can't be stuck in the past. You can't keep living in the past, and I think that's one thing that being an athlete teaches you. It's resilience and not being stuck in the past, because by being stuck in the past, you can't exactly move forward and you can't excel, moving forward. So, I mean, I could say, I shouldn't have taken that break, but I think what's important at this point for me would be just to, as soon as I get back home, to just keep training regularly, consistently, get my strength back to where it was 2 years ago. I would say it was 2.5 years ago. I mean, I'm in the process of getting my strength back, and it has improved than a few months ago. Definitely has. But I'd just like to get back to that place where I was before.
Well, finishing second in the group and now going against Sri Lanka for a position match. How are the preparations?
Yeah, the preparations are good. Okay, well, I mean, if you want me to be completely honest, I think we're all quite happy and surprised by the performance that we have had so far, because, honestly speaking, I don't think we were well prepared coming into this tournament. We just had a week camp at the federation. We played for 5 proper days. Weren't really expecting much when we came in. We wish we had had more time to prepare and been able to prepare better, but that didn't really happen. So I think the fact that we were able to get these wins under our belt and be able to perform the way we did. And then, some of our teammates, they got married. So, when you get married, it's a huge commitment, and, you get busy in another part.
It's like Charlie's Angels or the Expendables, because a lot of you had taken a break from tennis. Then getting you back together has been great.
Yeah, we all did, for our own reasons. Some of them got married, moved abroad, weren't able to play, weren't able to compete. And actually, none of us did compete since March, I would say. An international tournament we hadn't played since 2.5 years, since before COVID. So I think in that way, when you look at it, it's a really good performance by the team, given all the hurdles and the circumstances. So I just say that I'm really proud of my team for the way that they have shown up.
Definitely they have. I think it's a stellar performance. Like I said, the girls in green have given us a moment to celebrate. On that note, moving on, we've got to talk about Novak Djokovic as well, because the US Open is around the corner and he's decided to withdraw, citing COVID protocols, because he cannot participate. He's unvaccinated. Let's take a look at this report.
Novak Djokovic, the 21-time major champion and former world number 1, has withdrawn from the US Open due to travel restrictions into the United States as a result of being unvaccinated against COVID-19. After winning Wimbledon in July, Djokovic stated that he had hoped the United States would change its policies, allowing him to play at the year's final major, and appeared to be training for the tournament. It has been a challenging year for Djokovic, who won 3 major titles in 2021. After receiving a medical exemption to play in the Australian Open in January and arriving in the country, he was embroiled in an international legal battle that resulted him in having his visa revoked and being deported from the country before the tournament got underway.
And I understand that not being vaccinated today, I'm unable to travel to most of the tournaments at the moment.
And that's the price you're willing to pay?
That is the price that I'm willing to pay.
Ultimate.
Having reached the final at the 2021 US Open, Djokovic will lose an additional 1,200 points and his ranking will drop further at the conclusion of the event. Among the other players who will not be at the US Open for various reasons are number 2 ranked Alexander Zverev, the 2020 runner-up in New York, the 2016 champion Angelique Kerber, 2019 French Open finalist Maiketa Vondrousova, Gail Monfils and Riley Opelka.
There you have it, all you need to know about the US Open and, of course, Djokovic withdrawing. Now, Mehak, it's not the first time. We've already seen COVID hampering Djokovic's plans in the Australian Open, and now him pulling out of the US Open. Once again, a setback, but like he said, he's going to stay positive.
I think that's actually a really good attitude from Djokovic. There's no tantrums, nothing of the sort. And I really liked his statement because he said, I'm going to stay positive and I'm going to keep working hard and, trying to maintain my, whatever my fitness and whatever position I'm in right now. So I think that's a pretty positive attitude from him. Honestly, I think so many people have basically been against him for his decision of not wanting to get vaccinated. But after I heard that last interview of his where, he said that, if it means that I won't be able to play Grand Slams and win Grand Slams and, increase my record, that's fine by me. But I'm going to stick by my principles, which is that I believe I don't want to get vaccinated. And I think after that, my stance really did change because, I really did respect him for his honesty and, that he sticks by what he believes in. He's not changing his beliefs or his values for even such an important thing such as the number of Grand Slams that he gets to, play. And we do know that he's up against, the GOAT debate, even though I don't really believe in the whole GOAT debate. I think Federer, Nadal and Djokovic are, they're just in a league of their own. They shouldn't be, they shouldn't have to fight for that GOAT position. But, he could have been, he could have won the, he would have been a great competitor for the Grand Slams that he did miss out on. But he stuck by his values, and unfortunately we won't be seeing him in the US Open again. And I respect his decision, and I think to each their own. If he doesn't wish to get vaccinated, then I guess that's his own decision.
How would you back Nadal, of course, coming back from an injury, eyeing another Grand Slam yet again, the 23rd one? Of course, it was very disappointing to see him pull out of the French Open semis, but now, what are the chances?
I think that was Wimbledon semis, but yeah, it was very heartbreaking. We saw a whole new Nadal. I mean, like I said before, he doesn't have to prove anything to anybody, but he still keeps improving new things to us. He showed us another level of resilience and, his fighting spirit in that Wimbledon quarterfinal, where he basically won that match being injured, and he did not retire, did not give up, made sure he finished the match, whether he won or lost, So he showed us he just showed us another level of his character, something that so many people like and admire about Rafael Nadal. But I would say that, it's going to be really good seeing him back at the US Open. I don't know if his abdominal injury is 100% cured, because that kind of injury does take a lot of time to completely heal. But just the fact that he is fit enough to be able to at least compete and show up at the US Open, I think that's a really good sign. We know that he's won the US Open before, so he will definitely be one of the top contenders to win this Grand Slam title, regardless of his age or anything of the sort. We know he's been absolutely phenomenal throughout this year so far. So yeah, it'll be really exciting to see Rafael Nadal back at the US Open.
Absolutely, Meg. Thank you very much for joining us, and all the best for your game against Sri Lanka. Right, on that note, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Extra. Time now for our football segment with our sports expert, Ali Mehdi. Assalamu alaikum, Ali. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm very well, thank you.
Great to have you on the show. Now, let's take a look at this report on what we're discussing, and then we'll come back.
Champions League draws took place in Istanbul. Barcelona have been drawn against Bayern Munich in the group stages, which sees Robert Lewandowski facing an early return to his former club, while Manchester City's Erling Haaland will reunite with his ex-club Borussia Dortmund. Elsewhere, holders Real Madrid were drawn in Group F, where they will play Leipzig, Shakhtar and Celtic. Madrid won their Paris Saint-Germain were handed a tough group in Group H. Liverpool will star in Group A, where they will meet Rangers as well as Ajax and Napoli. This season's Champions League group stage will be played over a shorter period due to the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, which begins in November. The final will take place at the Atatürk Olympic Stadium in Istanbul on 10 June 2023. On the other hand, Real Madrid and France forward Karim Benzema has been named UEFA Men's Player of the Year. The 34-year-old, who last season spearheaded Madrid's victorious UEFA Champions League campaign, whereas Carlo Ancelotti collected the Coach of the Year accolade.
There you have it, all you need to know about what we're discussing. Now, first of all, the group stages, Ali Mehdi, what would you like to say?
I think it's a fantastic draw, which we just saw right now in this report just prepared by our research journalist. Another draw, another Champions League, another journey begins here. This year, in 2023, it's going to be taking place at Ataturk Stadium in this Istanbul. This final was actually supposed to take place in 2020, but because of Corona, it wasn't able to take place. And this year, it's going to be taking place in 2023. Again, once again, a mouth-watering, you could say, a draw which took place yesterday. I think if we start off with the group of death, which we were just talking about behind the scenes, Group C, which has Bayern Munich, Barcelona, and Bayern Munich, Barcelona, and then obviously Victoria Plzen over there, and Inter Milan.
Inter Milan is there as well.
So that is a big group. You have 5 times winners Barcelona, and then you have Bayern Munich over there. Sadio Mane going to playing for his new club. Lewandowski going back to Bayern Munich too. So I think that's a hot proposition.
There's a lot of groups that we're discussing. I wanted to discuss all of them because obviously we're short on time.
Sure.
But particularly, I'm trying to gauge the English teams this year in the setup as well because of the Premier League hype and everything. Group G has not gotten that attention since last night that I was waiting for, because you've got Manchester City, you've got Sevilla, you've got Borussia Dortmund and Copenhagen in that group.
I think that's another very tough group. Yes, everybody's talking about the group of Dead Sea, but is Group G? I mean, that's a tough group. Manchester City and Eric Haaland will have to go to his former club over there, Borussia Dortmund. And let's not forget Borussia Dortmund, the 2013 champions. They can go deep into the group. They have that Champions League pedigree, so they can be difficult.
Haaland against his former club.
Also Manchester United a couple of seasons ago too. So, I mean, it's a tough group over there. Manchester City is not going to have it easy over there. And then Copenhagen, another team which, yes, has in the past they've beaten the likes of Manchester United and other teams too. So that's another tough group too. And I think actually that's another mouth-watering group.
Milan, Chelsea, Salzburg and Zagreb in Group E.
I think that's a relatively easier group. Chelsea has it relatively ezy. This isn't the Milan of previous years. Yes, they did win the league. They did win Serie A, so they're a different proposition. But 7 times winners against 2 times winners Chelsea. I think that's going to be an amazing group.
Then we move on to Group H, where we get PSG, Juventus, Benfica and Haifa.
I think that's another fantastic group. That's a tough group. PSG never won the Champions League, made it to the final in 2020, lost to Bayern Munich. Against Juventus, who haven't won since '96. So that's a difficult one. And then Benfica too.
Very interesting fixtures, we must say. We're very excited. The Champions League always in its glory. Moving on to the final thing that we've got, Karim Benzema, Player of the Year for UEFA, and Carlos Ancelotti as Manager of the Year. Much expected, I would say.
Much expected. Benfica, I don't think it's ever been so so. And then you talk about Ancelotti.
I'm a big fan of him. I think he's
fantastic.
Really
and the only manager to win 4 Champions League. Twice where he's won with Milan, once in the Champions League, and then he's so humble and he gets along with his players too.
Absolutely. Ali Mehdi, thank you very much for being on the show. Always a pleasure having you. That wraps up this edition of Sports Extra. Catch us next time. From me and the entire team, it's goodbye for now.